What's up, everybody? Hope y'all feeling good today. This is PJ with Matt Black Tech, back here with another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the M1 MacBook Air. It's been almost exactly 2 years since its release in November 2020. So let's see how it's held up over the years and see if it's still worth your money later on 2 years down the line. And at the risk of hurting my watch time for this video, I'm just tell you right now, it still is worth it. Now, getting straight into the video, I want to first go over how I use this machine. So for me, it's a personal machine. I do a lot of YouTube browsing on it, web browsing, of course, all the common things that you may do on your phone or iPad or something like that. And of course, it's great for all of those tasks. My experience with that has been great so far. And I also use it to run this YouTube channel. I know it's a small channel, but as far as what I need it for and the power that I need, it's been absolutely great for that as well, but I'll talk about that in more detail later on in this video. But for me, if you're just a common user, a casual user, it's absolutely more than enough power for you. And it's actually punching way above its price class. So that's why another reason I think that this is a great option for you, even still late in 2022. So my experience so far, day in, day out, has been fantastic with it, and I love the portability of that thing as well too. So we're going to also discuss that later in the video, but the portability has been amazing. I bring it around with me everywhere just because I can now. I feel like I do video edits in my car, I do video edits basically anywhere I can, and it's been a very freeing experience for me. So I definitely love the portability of this machine. It's one of the best things that I love about it, actually. Now, since I brought up the portability, I got to talk about the design that makes that possible. Now, this MacBook Air M1 has a 13.3-inch Retina display, and the design for me has been pretty great, actually. I've been liking it. It has a solid aluminum body. And as far as the bezels on the display, they are kind of chunky. They're some thick girls, but it hasn't been a problem for me, honestly. And the 400 nits of peak brightness, it is somewhat of a challenge in direct sunlight, but when you look at the M1 MacBook Pro that only has 500 nits, that's not that big of a difference. And I know that may sound like a 25% difference in nit, but that's not how it increases in value. It actually is less than the 25% difference in the screen brightness overall. So as far as the brightness, is pretty much comparable to the M1 MacBook Pro. Now, a huge difference on the displays would be if you jumped up to the 14-inch M1 MacBook Pros. Now, those displays are the mini LEDs, and they are absolute fire. I'm not even gonna lie. It's pretty expensive for that machine, but that's a pretty big reason to upgrade alone though. But that's not to say that the M1 MacBook Air doesn't have a great display, because it does. It's fantastic, honestly. It's pretty color accurate. It's a DCI-P3, so I couldn't ask for more from a display at this price, honestly. And speaking of the price as well, I actually didn't mention that. You can find this laptop at a lot of places for around 800 to around 900 bucks. And if you want to get that refurbished, you can find a little bit of better deals. I found this as low as 750 refurbished. And as far as the model that I would recommend, if you're a casual user, like I said, the 8GB of RAM base model with 256 storage is honestly a great decision. Now, the only gripe that I would have is about the storage. That's why I would recommend getting an external SSD to go along with your MacBook. So that's what I did, me personally. I got a Samsung T7 Shield 1TB SSD. Actually, I did a video on that. It was my first video, so go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. But that's the model that I would recommend. And as far as the 8GB of RAM, if you were having issues about that, the swap memory for the M1 MacBook Air has actually been great. I've only ever slowed this laptop down when I've been actually intentionally trying to, like having iMovie open and DaVinci Resolve open with 2 different projects and like 20 Chrome tabs. So I'll also throw screenshots of that on the screen as well. But the swap memory has been handling beautifully with this machine. So the 8GB of RAM should be plenty, unless you're like a super hardcore user. Then at that point, I would honestly recommend you go up to the 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro or something of that nature. So overall, it's just been definitely amazing with the performance and the design and the portability of this machine. So it's definitely turning out to be a great purchase decision. Now, moving on briefly, let's talk about the performance. Honestly, I'm not going to bore you with benchmarks and whatnot with the Geekbench scores and things like that. Y'all have all already seen all the benchmarks. I don't want to bore you with that and waste y'all time on this channel. So I know that a lot of that is around already. So I'm just going to tell you the real performance and how I've experienced this machine. And for everything that I've done, like I've told you before, it's been handling flawlessly. So as far as my video editing, I record in 4K, HDR. So I haven't had too many issues with that. As far as scrubbing through the timeline when I am editing, I get no glitches, no stuttering, no anything like that. So the performance for me as a small YouTube editor has been absolutely great. And I also have a friend who does music. So, and he's been using actually the M1 MacBook Air as well, and it's actually been doing a little bit decent for him as well too. So he actually bought one originally because he wanted to wait for the new M1 Pros, but he didn't even need to wait because it performs so much better. Actually, the performance on the M1 Air is really comparable, if not better, in a lot of metrics to the previous 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. So the M1 Air pretty much spanks it as far as performance is concerned, unless we're talking about GPU intensive tasks. And if you guys that don't know, that basically just means tasks like, you know, gaming and things of that nature. So those are very GPU intensive. So the 16-inch MacBook Pro from 2019, it has dedicated graphics. So that's going to give you a little bit better performance. Now that we mentioned performance, let's go ahead and talk about that battery life. And I'm not going to lie, that's probably my favorite part of this laptop, man. I'm telling you, the battery life is it's the best, man. It's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, because honestly, I've been a Windows boy for a long time, and then the battery life on those machines have just been absolute garbage. I'm not even gonna lie to you, it's just been trash. So having a computer that can last me, like, no joke, like 12 hours of actual usage is just ridiculous to me. And as a quick bonus note, if you were unaware, most Windows laptops actually lose performance and power once you unplug them from the power supply. So if you run them off of battery, you're gonna lose a bit of performance, actually quite a bit. In some cases, about half the performance, maybe a third of the performance could be lost just from unplugging your laptop that's supposed to be portable and using it somewhere else. So that's another reason that the performance on the M1 MacBook Air is so dope, because you get that same performance anywhere you go. Actually, when I was editing the video before this, I was about 5 hours into editing, you know, just straight work doing that on the computer, and I still had about 69% left. Nice. But on a serious note, the battery life has been A+, top-notch performance. It's just been fantastic. The best battery life in a laptop I've ever experienced. Now I want to briefly talk about the value and convenience of this product. Honestly, the value is outstanding for this product. Now, if you look at comparable Windows machines, if you want one that's, you know, spec'd similarly and also has, you know, similar performance, you are going to pay about, you know, that $1,200 to $1,400 mark, you know, like the Dell XPS or certain laptops of that nature. Now, if you don't want a Windows and you know you want, you know, a Mac, then you already know your few options that you have. But as far as the value for this product right here, it's been absolutely fantastic. So I do think it's still a good buy as far as, is it worth it, especially for those prices that I've mentioned before. And the conveniences of everyday life with the product, like I've told you before in the video, the size and the portability has been fantastic. It just makes me want to carry it everywhere and just get work done. And if you're thinking about the prices as far as value as well, another thing to consider is, you know, some of Apple software that's included, such as, you know, Pages, which is similar to Microsoft Word. So you know, you might have to buy things like Microsoft Office just to even get started and do some of your productivity tasks if you go for a Windows computer. So you have to also include that into the price and consider that for the value. So overall, the value for the M1 MacBook Air is still fantastic, even in 2022. So that's definitely an A+ for me. So wrapping up this video, y'all can probably guess my conclusion. It's definitely still worth it. It's a go. Go ahead, buy it if you're in the market for a laptop this year. Do not feel bad about that purchase. Don't be looking at the M2 MacBook Air and the M2 MacBook Pro and say, oh, I'm missing out on the new goodness. Don't worry. I promise you're not missing too much. Now, unless you like, you know, real big into photography and editing of that nature and you want a better display, then like I said, go up to those 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros. But besides that, for all casual folks and even a little bit of power users, it's still a great buy. Definitely consider this if you're in the market to buy a new laptop. Now, I hope this review was helpful and informative and to the point. And if you think I did well and I deserve a subscription, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment for any suggestions in the future. I appreciate y'all for watching all the way through, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.